Hey, this is Mel with Kojiko TV, and I have your review for the Huntsville Theatre Company's latest production of Good People, which is on this week. It is their last week here in Huntsville. You can see them at the Stockey Centre in Parry Sound the following week on May 18th. So go to huntsvilletheatre.org for further details. Now, before I get into a full-on review about the play, what I thought about it, I do want to say that the Huntsville Theatre Company continues to overcome challenges. They set themselves or set the bar high for themselves, and they succeed in overcoming them greatly. And in particular, I want to talk about the set. So the set is divided into, I believe it's 5. Yeah, do I have it on the list here? Yeah, 5 character scenes. So you got the back of the dollar store, you've got the main character's apartment, you have a bingo hall, you have a doctor's office, and then you have the home of said doctor. So the challenge with this is, how do you fit all that onto a small stage? Well, the designers and the set producers were able to utilize the set. Most of the sets were actually on stage. They never left. The only major set change was in the last scene when they turn everything around to make it the apartment of one of the doctor characters here. So what they had to do was strategically place the set pieces in order to make sure that the audiences doesn't get distracted by other set pieces in the scene. And they did that by strategically placing the set pieces, as I said, and also how they did their lighting. There was not one moment where I was distracted by other set pieces when each scene was going on. So I have to give kudos to that. That was really good use of maximizing the space that they had at the Studio Theatre. Now, on to the play itself. So, Good People, brief summary, is basically a play that follows the struggle of the main character, Margie. Now, she recently loses her latest job for, being late and all that. And I guess the struggle that you'll see throughout the play is you'll start to see why she struggles from job to job. She does have a daughter who is disabled. That makes it harder for her to get and keep a job. And of course, we go through the journey of her trying to get another job from an ex-boyfriend turned doctor. So first, I'm going to tell you this. It's a well-written play. It's well-written, concise. The jokes are on point. It takes you from emotion to emotion, and it's all there. There is profanity in it though, so if you are of the faint of heart with that kind of thing, this may not be the play for you. Otherwise, it really captures, the script really does captures the lingo of the everyday people, especially in Southie Boston, because that is where it sets. There is a mix of humor, anger and sadness beautifully entwined to really capture the situation of all the characters. I felt all those emotions, however, maybe not in the way that I am supposed to. So let's start with humor. There are many comedic moments within the play, and I loved them all. Dottie and Jean, played by Diane Bickley and Jane Morris, were the brunt of that comedy. The constant bickering back and forth was really fun to watch, and their clashing was really fun to watch. Dottie's denial in being a terrible babysitter, Jean's disgust for Dottie's bunny crafts, really adds a lightness to a theme that is rather, well, depressing. I felt that I should be annoyed with Dottie, but Diane did such a great job making Dottie likable. I couldn't help but like her. Stevie, played by Matt Huddlestone, also had his comedic moments. Matt did such a great job moving from being serious to awkward to just plain funny just by the slight movements on stage, facial expressions, and of course, comedic timing. Now we get to anger. This is a tough one to say. It's taken me a couple of days, and I've written notes here to kind of guide me through this, but it's taken me a couple of days to really hone in on what really made me angry about this play. And I have to say it, more often than not, Margie, the main character, made me angrier than any of the other characters on the play, in the play, I should say. Margie is played by Karen Lawrence, and she had the tough job, not only by being on stage most of the time, but to be able to change emotions from, desperation to sadness to then manipulative and meanness. And despite the fact that I guess we're supposed to be sympathetic to this character, I couldn't quite get there. First, I do want to say that I do sympathize with her journey. It sucks that she couldn't finish high school. It sucks that she had a child at such a young age, and it sucks that she had to go through job after job to try to make ends meet. However, at one moment, Margie will convince me of her struggle. She would win me over, but then the next, when she doesn't get her way or her pride is hurt, she turns mean, complaining and manipulative, and I just couldn't stay on her team. This is especially true when she tries to get a job from an ex-boyfriend, now Dr. Mike, who is played by Alan Hutchings, I should say, or when she goes to his house anyway after being told a party was canceled. The last scene especially was hard to watch. I just couldn't sympathize with her struggle, with her consistent scheme to poke fun, provoke an argument, or hurt someone's feelings. So this is where sadness comes in. I was sad, really sad for Mike's much younger wife, who is played by Diana Prisk. She did a great job portraying, I guess, a wife who is struggling in her relationship with her husband. You know, the need, you see it right from the beginning that they are in need of help, they are going to counseling, and you do see that sadness there in between the lines. You can really tell that this is a couple who's not quite happy. You don't meet her into the last act, but you can clearly see the sadness there, of course. Now, in her relationship with her husband, and of course in Margie's one mean scheme, I don't want to say what that is, in case you haven't seen it yet. I was also sad just how it unfolded. Such a mean scheme to do, and you have to see the play to get what I mean, and it is a big spoiler, so I don't want to do that for you. It just made me really angry. I literally had my mouth to the floor and like, what are you doing? How could you do that? I was also sad for Stevie. Stevie is a nice guy. He's the one that is forced to fire Margie in the first scene, and it's sad to watch how Margie refuses to see his side. At one point, outright insult him too. All in all, I felt myself sympathizing with all the other characters except Margie. To some extent, I didn't really sympathize with Mike too, but you'll get what I mean when you watch the play. It was really hard to sympathize with her, and when she just would consistently be manipulative and mean-spirited. And I understand her struggle. I completely do, and I sympathize with her struggle and maybe what made her the way she is. But it was really hard to root for her and to want her to win when she consistently was just mean. I know I said it, but that's what it was. The play is called Good People. That's what it is. And there is a scene in the earlier in the play where Margie is talking to Mike about good people. She's defining about what good people are, calling him good people and all that. So that term, that definition, came back at me by the end of the play. And I sat there thinking, okay, so if this play is called Good People, or if we're supposed to be seeing normal everyday people in their constant struggle and try to find a good in them, I really have to say the only character that really completed that definition for me, as said by Margie in the play, was Stevie. He, from the beginning, despite being harassed, despite being made fun of, despite being insulted, despite being provoked, he remained a good person from beginning, the very first scene, to the very end. And I think he probably is the only character in my mind who isn't flawed. I mean, everybody has flaws. We're not perfect. We all know that. But all the other characters showed obvious flaws in their characters. I mean, you had Dottie, who was a bad babysitter, Jean, who's a little abrasive and mean, but her heart's in a good place. Of course, you have Margie, who, you know, my problem was with her. Mike, as well, flawed in every way, shape, or form. And then, of course, you also have Mike's wife, Diana, who played by Diana Prisk again, who has some flaws of her own, internal flaws, and especially in the struggle of the relationship. Stevie, despite all these, I guess, things or ideas thrown at him, he still remains good people. And that's what I came out of it. So, did I love the play? No. Do I think it's a good play? Yes. And do I think you should go see it? Absolutely.